Hey everyone, it's HardlyBriefDan here with another episode of our August Game of the Month series. This is episode 8, and today we're going to continue working on our gameplay manager, or that's what I'm calling it. Basically, the play state of the game, where we keep track of time, our health, our score, how many times we've been hit, all that kind of fun stuff. So, basically, there's a few main things I wanted to cover in this video. I went ahead and I made a little list, and the first thing we're going to do is cover a stopwatch, creating a timer. Then we're going to go over score, when we're going to spawn an enemy, our health regeneration and our health, and then if we have time at the end, our game over scene, or main menu scene, but our game over state, if you will. So the first thing that I want to go ahead and do, we're just going to jump right into it, is first go ahead in our projects folder, go ahead and create in the scripts folder under play scene, go ahead and create a new folder called gameplay manager. On this, we're going to go ahead and let me remove that. In that, we're going to go ahead and create a C# script, and we're going to call it gameplay manager. Okay, and then the next thing I want you to do is in the hierarchy up here, go ahead and click create, or actually don't do create. Excuse me. Go ahead. And go to game object, create a new empty, and label it. I did it here. I reset it back to 000, and I labeled it gameplay manager. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and grab this C# script and go ahead and drag and drop it to our gameplay manager icon up there. I don't know why we're getting those little errors there, but as you can see, we've added the script. I'm going to go ahead and open that script up and model develop so we can start working on it. I have zoomed in this time, so hopefully you can read it. So the first thing I wanted to cover in this video is a useful timer. You guys can use this if you're using C# in your other projects or whatever. You can use it anywhere as long as it's C#. It's a very good timer. It's made by Microsoft. You know, it's their timer. It's their stopwatch library. So what we're going to do is go ahead and create a public stopwatch, and we're going to go ahead and do a public, and we're going to go system diagnostics, and then it's going to be stopwatch, and we're going to call this our game timer. Before we go too far, go ahead up here and create a new go ahead and write using. We're going to do using, and it's just system. There we go. I'm going to include this system library up here. Excuse me. So now that we have this timer, I guess what I want to talk about is basically this is a variable called game timer. It's of type stopwatch, which is found in the system diagnostics library, and we've made it public, meaning we can access it elsewhere. That might change later, but we're going to keep it public for now. The next thing I want to do is create what they call a time span. We're going to go ahead and make this a private, and it's going to be of type time span. Time span is found in just system. So you could do system.timespan to get it, but we're going to go ahead and just do private time span, and we're going to call this game time, and we're going to call this we're going to go ahead and call this game time. Sorry, I'm just trying to decide what I want to do, but we'll go ahead and call it game time. And you might be wondering, well, what's a time span? Well, time span is basically a variable or a type that outputs a time like this. So it'd be like hours. Let me go ahead and comment out. It'd be 00:00:00:00:00:00. Right. So this is This is milliseconds, seconds, hours. No, sorry, milliseconds, seconds, minutes, and then hours, and then I think it goes to days, and you can even get it goes a lot farther if you really wanted it. But basically we're going to be using this time span to do a little bit of calculations to get our seconds timer, which is what I want to be displaying. Game timer works itself. It has a function called elapsed milliseconds, and we could divide that by 1,000, which will give us time in seconds. But I'm going to go ahead and do this other way. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or you want to read more about it, I'll try to keep explaining it as we go on. But definitely check out like the Microsoft developer page on the class. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do with it. This is actually what we're going to be looking at is the start function here, or start method, basically we're going to initialize a new stopwatch here, and then we're going to start it. And then we're going to manipulate it using a time span, or reading the elapsed time using a time span, and then manipulate the time span to get our seconds. So to do that, what we want to do is create a new function, and this function is actually a mono behavior function. It's called awake. Actually, it might be a Unity function, not mono behavior. I think it's mono behavior. It's one or the other, mono behavior in Unity engine. But basically, the awake function is called before the start function. So the order of initialization would go whatever's in the awake function, and then whatever's in the start function, and then whatever's in the update function, and then the update function again just keeps getting called every frame. The awake and start only run once at the beginning, but awake runs first. So the first thing that we want to do is initialize our timer. So we're going to go ahead and go do game timer. We're going to set that equal to a new system.diagnostics.stopwatch. Okay, so now we've set a new instance of this stopwatch, and we're going to go ahead and do game timer, and we're going to start it. So you do dot start, your parentheses, and your semicolon. So now we've started the timer. The timer's running. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to calculate our seconds, our elapsed seconds. So there's a few ways to do this. One, you can go ahead and do a debug statement. I'm going to do a few so you guys can see them. You can go debug.log, capital L, and you can go game timer dot elapsed milliseconds or ticks. I'm not sure what a tick is, but I'm going to go ahead and show you elapsed milliseconds. This is going to output a number that's milliseconds, an integer I think it is, and it's just showing you the milliseconds that have elapsed. Instead of using that though, we're actually going to create, or we're going to use that game time time span variable that we created up above, up here. So you're going to go ahead and do game time, and we're going to set that equal to our game timer. Oh no. Game time is going to be, our game timer dot elapsed. No, it's just elapsed. All right. So what we've done is game timer dot elapsed. I guess the game timer dot elapsed is a time span. So okay, game timer dot elapsed milliseconds is an integer, and game timer dot elapsed is a time span, and we're setting this time span equal to game time. Now, hopefully this isn't too confusing. We're going to go ahead and create a new variable. It's going to be a double, and this variable is going to be called actual, what I'm going to call actual game time. And we're going to go ahead and do actual game time, and we're going to set that equal to our game time dot total seconds. I believe, yeah. So total seconds is exactly what you think it is. It's going to give us a double, type double variable, and it's going to be like 1 point, whatever, 2 point, depending on how long time's elapsed. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that with a debug statement. So I'll go to actual game time, right? And I'm going to go ahead and do a plus time in seconds without. I'm going to go ahead without rounding. So what the actual game time right now, and the reason why I added this little statement is because actual game time is going to show you a number that is going to have several decimal places, and I don't want that. I want a number and 2 decimal places, right? So we're going to use a math function called round. It's also in C#. I think Unity does have their own. It's math F, but we're going to go ahead and use math. So what you do is go actual game time is equal to a math dot round, and round is a pretty cool function. It can do several things depending on what you send it. So if you just send it a number, an integer, it will round to the nearest integer for you. Or if you send it a decimal, it will round to the nearest integer for you. Or you can kind of customize it, and that's kind of what we're going to do. We're not customizing a lot, but basically we're going to say math.round. We're going to send it actual game time, and then we're going to say we want it to 2 decimal places, right? So this is going to make it, instead of 1.33333, it'll be 1.33 or 1.34, you know, depending on the rounding. So now we're going to go ahead and do a debug log, and then we're going to go actual game time, and we're going to do plus, and we're going to go time, space time, rounded. Okay. I'm going to actually add a little thing up here. We're going to go plus time in milliseconds. 2 L's in milli. Bam. All right, there we go. So we've added 3 debug statements. So when I go ahead and press play, I'm going to run through exactly what's going to happen. Our timer is going to be initialized. We're going to start the timer. We're going to output every frame, the time in milliseconds, and then we're going to do some calculations, and then we're going to output the time that's not in seconds, that's not rounded, and then we're going to go ahead and show the actual game time rounded that we're going to be using in the game. So I'm going to go ahead and Control S to save. I'm going to jump into Unity. We're going to go ahead and press play, and I'm going to go. I pause it here, and you can go ahead and see what's happening. So I'm going to scroll up to the top. We have 44 time in milliseconds. You can see that when this was the time it seconds rounded was able to be calculated and whatnot, and the next frame it updated. You can see that some time has elapsed, and you can see time rounded is 0.05 milliseconds. Or not 0.05, 50 milliseconds, excuse me. And you can kind of see it growing, and all of it comes down to, let's see, when we hit a second. You can see now that we've hit a second, we have 1,059 milliseconds, which, if you can do the math yourself, if you divide by 1,000 here, you'll get 1.05 or 0.06 when it's rounded, which is what we want. This is the value, the rounded value that we're going to use for our game. So now that we got the timer up and running, I hope you guys all understand that. If you don't, please go ahead and leave a comment, and I will try to explain better. No worries there. I'm going to go ahead and do a void on GUI function. We've used this before a few times. I'm going to go to our game stats. I'm going to go ahead and copy this label. And I'm going to go ahead and paste it. And we're going to change amount fired to total. Go ahead and call it game time. We're going to send it this actual game time variable. We're going to place this, remember this starts from the left, the top, and then how big this label is, and so we're going to put it 25 from the top. So it should be below the amount fired. Excuse me, Control S to save, jump back into Unity, go ahead and press play, and you can see we have our time here. So basically what's happening is it's not long enough. That's why it's going back and forth, which is okay. It looks kind of bad, so we're going to go ahead and make it a little longer. And like I said, you can go ahead and see our width height, so we want to go ahead and make our width like 150, I guess. Control S to save. There you go. So see, it's not bouncing back and forth now. It probably needs to be a little bit longer, just in case. I'm going to make it 200. Now, remember, this is going to be completely different if you're doing in a different ratio. I'm doing 16:9 because my monitor is 16:9 ratio monitor. So whatever you're developing for, remember to adjust. So now I'm going to go ahead and maximize on play. We're going to go ahead and play the game. You can see our time up there. We're still counting fine, and we're keeping track of our time. Perfect. Okay, now what? Well, there's a couple things I wanted to do, and I'm going to go ahead and actually delete some of these debug statements because we don't need them. So we're going to go ahead and do that. There we go. We are going to create a private variable or a private function. It's going to return void, and it's going to be calculate timer or time. And I'm just doing this to make it a little neat, or update, to keep our update function a little more neat. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all that. We're going to paste it in this function, and now we're just going to call this function in our update function. It does the same exact thing. I'm just moving it out of our update function. So when later on you come back and read this, you're like, oh, okay, this is what this does. This is what this does. You know, just more readability. So like I said, the one thing I wanted to work on is our score, and there's a few ways we can do this. I think I'm just going to keep everything in our gameplay manager because it's simple that way. It's not too challenging. We're not keeping track of a whole bunch of stats, so I don't really see why not. We do have this stats function though, so I guess we'll do it in here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and do a public static int. I'm in the game stats script, by the way. Sorry for jumping ahead, but we're in the public. We're going to create a public static integer, and we're going to call it our game score. We're going to call it current game score. And this is because later on when we had high scores, we want to compare. So we got our current game score. We're going to go ahead and at the start of the game, we're going to set that equal to. I'm going to set it equal to 10. You know why not? It's not a big deal. So now we're going to go ahead and add it to our label. We're going to go game score. Just say score. We want current game score. I'm going to set this actually at 25, and we're going to adjust our time in our gameplay manager to a different spot. Where is it? Oh, I'm lost. All right, here we go. We'll go ahead and set that. So 15:15, that's 40. Well, 30, but anyways, go ahead and control S to save. Can jump into Unity and press play. You see we have a score now. It's not doing anything. That's okay. But what we're going to do is every 5 seconds, we want to add to our score. And I think I'm going to go ahead and make this a public static. It shouldn't cause any problems, I don't think. So basically what we're going to do is, since we are keeping score in game stats, we're actually going to calculate it in game stats. And so what we'll do is go ahead and create a function below this. We're going to create a private void calculate game score. Now remember, a few things are going to go into our score. We have our time plus enemies killed plus bombs killed. And I think that's it, is what we said score was going to be equal to. I don't remember exactly. I have to check the game design document, which, by the way, you can download or open up with the link below. Same with some of the artwork that I've uploaded so far. But anyways, now we're going to calculate our score. So, hey guys, HardlyBriefDan here. I actually cut the video, and I'm going to jump back right where we left off. I cut the video because I started doing the time to regenerate total health and calculate game score in a way that I had already realized that is wrong. Well, I realized was wrong like 20 minutes later. I had already solved this problem before in a project I've worked on, and I completely forgot about it. And I'll go ahead and explain. Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're going to be doing, and then I'm going to go ahead and explain what happened. So basically, we're going to be using this system variable again, and we're going to be creating a couple timers. We're going to create 2 timers for now, and one of them is going to be actually, we're going to create 3. I'm going to go ahead and go in our gameplay manager, and I'm going to copy these stopwatches. So go ahead and copy and paste 3 of them. The first one is going to be our score timer. Our next one is going to be our health timer, and then our enemy timer. And that's what we'll have that for now. We might do more, I'm not exactly sure, but basically we're gonna have all these timers. We're gonna have several timers running. In this case, we have 4 total right now. We have our game time, our score timer, our health timer, and enemy timer. And the first thing we need to do is go ahead and in our awake function, go ahead and call these timers. So I went ahead and copied that. I'm gonna go ahead and paste it. We're gonna change our score timer, change game timer to score timer. We're gonna start with score timer first, and then we're going to we'll do our score, then we'll go into health, and then if we have time, we'll go into enemies. But basically, we're going to start our score timer, and then once it reaches equal to or greater than a certain value, then we're going to go ahead and stop the timer, reset the timer, increase our score, and then start the timer again. So that might sound a little complicated, and you might think that's a little unnecessary, but basically the problem that I ran into before when I was recording, and the problem that I ran into a while ago I completely forgot about, was that the precision, basically I was doing a divisible thing. So I was saying if our time is divisible by 3, then we'll go ahead and regenerate 3 health. Now that's okay, but the problem that I was running into, and maybe you guys have a good solution to fix it, was basically the precision wasn't there. It's not always going to be equal to 0. Rarely will it actually be equal to 0 because games aren't running at infinite speed, right? There's some delay, and in that case, that delay shows up when you're trying to do precise things like that. So we're gonna have basically around every 5 seconds, around every 3 seconds for health, we're gonna be stopping a timer, resetting the timer, and adding health and whatnot. So hopefully you understand that. Again, if you guys have a better way of doing it, please tell me, and I can go ahead and change it, or I can add it to it. We can do both ways, whatever. But let me know in the comments below. But now I'm going to go ahead and do the right way, if you will, quote unquote. But I think it's the smarter way. And basically, we're going to go ahead and do an if statement, and we're going to check to see if our score timer dot elapsed milliseconds. We'll go ahead and do milliseconds divided by 1,000. Well, actually, no, we don't need to do that. Is less than, and we're going to go ahead and score timer. This is going to be a in the thousands, so I'll explain in a second. So we're going to say if our score timer is greater than or equal to our increased score time, then we're going to go ahead and call this increase or calculate score function. Plain and simple. So I might change the name of that. But sorry, anyways, so basically what we're doing is this is in milliseconds. So this is 5,000, which is equal to 5 seconds. I'll go ahead and say that. So 5,000 milliseconds. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, seconds. Is equal to 5 seconds. If you don't believe me, Google it. But basically, you divide milliseconds by 1,000, it gives you seconds. So that's what that is. And we're just seeing if this value, the score timer, is greater than our increased score, greater than or equal to. And if it is, we're going to calculate our game score. But first, we want to stop the timer. So we're going to go score timer dot stop, and then we're going to go score timer dot reset. Okay, and then now and calculate game score, and we're going to actually change this to add game score based on time. I don't really like that either, but it's a little more descriptive than to calculate game score. So now we're going to go ahead and our add game score based on time. We're going to go ahead and say what do I have? Game score, current game score is going to be plus equals to 100. And what this means is it's adding 100 to itself. This is exactly like typing current game score is equal to current game score plus 100. So this little line of code is exactly equal to this. It's just a shorthand way of doing it. So after we reset the timer, after we stop the timer, we reset it back to 0, and now we're adding our score. We want to go ahead and start the timer again. So we're going to go ahead and go score timer dot start. I'm going to control S to save, and now hopefully it should work. I've added the GUI label here that has our current game score. We're starting at 100, so it should go to 200 after 5 seconds. I've created this public variable can be changed in the inspector, which I'll probably have to do because it is public. So I'm going to go ahead and control S to save. I'm going to click on my play scripts. You see it's 5. I'm going to change it to 5,000. Let's see if it works. So at 5 seconds, I should hit 200. And it works. Okay. Whew. Perfect. I'm so happy this works because last I was going completely wrong direction, and I recorded a lot more of the video, but I didn't want to upload that because I want you guys to see me screw up and stuff because I think it's helpful, to see me debug things. But that was too much of a waste of time for you guys to watch. So, anyways, the next thing we're gonna do is jump back into MonoDevelop, and we're gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy it, but we're gonna do it with help. So. We need to add a few variables. first off, we need our public. These don't need to be static, but I'm making them static because we might want to use them elsewhere. We're going to go public int max, or we're going to call it what, current. How's it doing? We don't shoot. Go current health. We want a public int, and we're going to call this increase health time, and we're going to go ahead and set this to 3000. You can set it whatever you want. Remember, it's in milliseconds, and we're going to go ahead and create another private variable, or we'll go ahead and make it public int. We're going to call it max current health, not max health. Control S to save. I'm going to set this to 1000. You can set to whatever you want, but I want my cannon health to have 1000. More room to work with. So I have already created this regenerate total health function. I never deleted from the video I was recorded before, but we're going to go ahead and just edit this and call this new function. So go ahead and create a private void regenerate total health function. We're going to go ahead and paste over the add to score. Score timer is now going to be a different timer, but we need to initialize it. So right here we're going to go health timer is equal to a new system diagnostic stopwatch. Right. Below score timer, we're going to go health timer dot start. If you're super precise, you know there's going to be a little delay between those two timers, but it's going to be pretty much exact. You shouldn't be able to see, notice that delay. You might be able to, but that's really impressive if you can. So going to go ahead and copy that, paste it. We want to change our increase health time, or increase score time to increase health time. Excuse me. And now we need to add to our health. So this is where it's a little more complicated. It's pretty simple. But basically, when we want to increase our health, we need to check to see first if our current health is greater than or equal to our max health. Max health. So basically, if our current health is greater than or equal to our max health, we don't want to do anything. So I'm actually going to change this to less than our max health. So if our current health is less than our max health, then we want to actually add health to it. I'm going to go ahead and make another variable. Sorry for all the variables. But we're going to go ahead and create a public int, and we're going to call this increase health amount. I'm going to go ahead and set this equal to 20. So ideally, every 3 seconds, you're going to gain 20 health if you need it. So what we're going to do is go increase health amount, and we're going to go current health plus equals increase health amount. All right. So now what we're doing is we're saying, okay, if our current health is less than our max health, then we're going to go ahead and add 20 or whatever your amount is to our current health. And then we need to check one more thing. Then we're going to go if our current health is greater than or equal to our max health. What do we want to do? Well, we want to set our current health, in that case, equal to our max health. Now, you don't need this equals to, because if it's equal to it, then we don't need to do that. But basically, it's like a catch-all. So we're saying if, say you have 990 health here, and you add 20 to it. You have 990 health, you come in, you add 20 to it, you'll be at what? You'll be at 1,010 health. Well, we don't want that. We want it to be max health, so 1,000. That's what that does. So after we do all that, we want to start the timer up again. So we're going to go ahead and say health timer dot start, just like we did down here with the score. Control is to save. I'm going to go into Unity, and hopefully we have no problem. Oh, actually, one more thing. We want to go ahead and add a GUI label for our health. I'm going to copy this one up here. Go ahead and paste it. We're going to call this health. We're going to look for our current health. I'm going to go ahead and grab it. Paste it there. This is going to be set to 55 because our time, I think, is set to 40, so plus 15 is 55. Go ahead and Control S to save, jump back into Unity, and we should see a few things. First off, we have amounts fired, score, game time, and health. Health is set to 0 for some... Oh, I know why. We're going to go ahead and change that. Actually, let's see if it works. Let's see if it increases our health. And then, so at 3 seconds, we should get more health, which we do. And then at 5 seconds, we get more score. So we know that's working, which is awesome. But one thing I want to start is on our awake function. Actually, we'll go ahead and do it in our start function. We're going to go ahead and set our current health equal to our max health. Right, and then just a quick test to see if our logic worked below. We're going to go ahead and set our current health equal to 990, like the example I had said above. I'm going to go ahead and comment this out. You can see I've already done this on an old one. It's okay. Control S to save, and we're going to go ahead and see if when we increase our health, if it stays at 1,000. So at 3 seconds, 1,000. Perfect. So now we know our logic's working, we're getting score, we're getting health. It's based on seconds, our timers are running, we have our total game time, everything is working perfectly fine, so that's awesome. I'm going to go ahead and erase this 990. I'm going to set our current health at the start of our to equal max health. Control S to save, and we're going to do one more test, and that is a main menu test. So we're going to go ahead and save the scene, going to go ahead and click the main menu. We created this several videos ago, going to go ahead and press play. Have not added buttons or button whatever yet, so go ahead and hit play game and you see everything's working fine. See, we're keeping track of stuff, our score, perfect. So this video is running kind of long, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I hope you guys learned something. I know I did. Good refresher course. Hopefully you learned something about timers and stopwatches and all that good stuff. So anyways, in the next video we'll go ahead and continue working on this project. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, support me. I am going to be live streaming this Sunday, hopefully, the 24th, I think it is. But I'll post a video updating you guys and letting you know when that exactly is. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys next time.